because today I went and had to get my horse's feet done. It's been a saga, and now the barn farrier is actually just going to do her feet. All she has is a trim. She's easy. Well, actually, since she's a mare, sometimes she's not. She likes to sometimes surprise us with a personality change, like all women do. She's a she can be feisty. She can tell you what she doesn't want. She's very opinionated. The old rule of thumb is ask a stallion, tell a gelding, discuss it with a mare, and pray if it's a pony. And that's pretty much dead on. No, 90% of the time, K is a good horse. Hey, Krypton, 10% of the time, she can be a bitch. Okay, so it just depends on what her thing is. So I just got back. I haven't even taken a shower yet. It wasn't so hot that I felt gross coming back in. So anyway, coffee. Here, do you like my cup? Yeah, I got this about a month ago or so. So yeah. Anyway, let's talk. So I've got bad news. Mazer has just put this out there to me that J.W. Rinzler, hey Mike, he is the writer of. He put this together for Lucasfilm. He worked at Lucasfilm. I have this. I love this book. I do. Shit. Okay, well, I just tipped over a thing of strawberry soda. But he made this. He did this. He wrote this. He wrote, this is the hardcover, one of the hardcovers I've got. These are really cool, by the way, and you can find them on eBay. And of course, ta-da, this. They're all his. His son just posted that he's making end of life decisions now. He was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer a while back, and I've known this and for a while, and I guess it's they couldn't control it. Pancreatic cancer is one of those cancers that when you find out you have it, it's too late. Okay, it's really weird that way. Patrick Swayze died of it. Okay, so it's and actually the priest who did our wedding, he officiated at our wedding and actually got me back into the Catholic Church. Bishop Esterbrook died of it. Good man, good man. And J.W. Rensler's a good man too. And this is devastating. It's breaking my heart. We need people like him. Okay, it's one of those moments when you're like looking around, going, "Why does bad shit happen to good people?" It is this, and that is a natural reaction. But if we could all just sit around and kind of think about him in your prayers today, or when whatever, please do, because he deserves it. I mean, he did a lot of really good stuff at Lucasfilm, and he's a really sweet guy. He really is. There's a generation of people that came about that are really interesting people. A lot of those old boomers, despite them being boomers and a pain in the ass and old hippies, they're very interesting. And like I said, I don't care if you're a liberal or whatever. If you like good storytelling, and he had a book out about the space program. You might want to purchase it now, okay? Because it's out there. It'd probably help the family a little bit. So I would do that. If one of the guys who's basically a wrench could put a link to that book in the chat, that'd be really great. Anyway, what else is going on? Nothing really. Doomcock had Cameron on, and some other people on last night talking about storytelling, but I just couldn't stay up. 9 o'clock. If you start a show at 9 o'clock, I'm gonna be like this because, I get up early. Okay, I got this idiot behind me who's sitting there looking at me going, "Wake up, human," at 5:30. Okay, and I just got back from 2 hours being at the barn with the mayor. So, and it was, met a new barn owner. We've got another thoroughbred there, so we've got three now. Birdie's owner is kind of a lunatic. He's like way out there. But this guy that owns Hendrix is a pretty cool guy. So it's always nice to talk to people that own thoroughbreds if you're a thoroughbred owner, because you've all got a very interesting story to tell, because those horses, they come off the track usually, and there's always an interesting story about how you got them, where you got them, what they did on the track, their bloodlines and everything. I could brag on Kay all day. I mean, she's got 3 Triple Crown winners, Count Fleet, Whirl Away, and Gallant Fox. She's got several Kentucky Derby winners, Belmont Stakes winners in her. She is a direct sire line back to, I think, one of the greatest horses of all time, Native Dancer. And of course, she's got the GOAT himself, Man of War, in her. So it's, yeah, I like to brag on her. She's a queen. She is. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about Star Wars. So yesterday I was talking about that article that showed up in Inside Disney, and I went and looked on Twitter, and it seems that I don't know what has been going on with Pablo lately, but we'll see. Let's go see, because I'm bored. And I just wanted to talk. Apparently, the British Grand Prix was on, and both Harrison Ford and Tom Cruise was there. They're still filming up in Glasgow. They've moved to different streets. Thank you, Cinedave. That was really nice of you to do that. If you could, drop, I don't know, what, $20 or whatever that book costs, do it. That will help the family, I think, and Mr. Rinzler a lot. I think he was one of the writers that wasn't getting royalties from Disney after the sale of Lucasfilm. So any little bit'll help. So anyway, I really don't know what's going on. Oh, here's something weird. Variety reported. Thanks, Troy. Variety reported that Cannes is all like agog over a movie about a woman who's, I guess, fascinated with cars and got impregnated by a Cadillac. Yes, it's true. The world has gone fucking batshit crazy. What? And we wonder where Ryan Johnson came from. Oh, trust me, there are worse people out there. Far worse people than him. I mean, that's mentally ill to even think about that. But let's find dipshit Pablo. Oh, there he is. Loser. I can't help it, he's a loser. Let's see. Okay, so. Oh! Okay. Okay, there's a GoFundMe for this. I'm gonna find that later and do and send it to Coach and Nick and everybody, and maybe Andre and Tom. We'll get this taken care of. Yeah, they're not helping him, so I got to remember to do that. Okay. I just, okay, I'm just, I love how these people call him sir, but let me just, we'll get into this. So somebody asked if Visions is going to be canon. No, it's not. It's going to be a total separate timeline and kind of a what if thing. Um, I'll save that. I'll save that to read it. Anyway, because people were bugging me about that too. It's really, I mean, I don't, I've been, anyway, I've got this up. We'll look at it. So anyway, I don't know what to think anymore. I'm just kind of hanging around here. We'll get that GoFundMe for JW Rinzler up on the community page here, and I will send it out to the bigger channels so we can get him some money. We'll take care of it. In fact, let's make sure the Phantom Menace outdoes that. Okay. But I can't find it, and I really don't feel like getting into the Twitter thing. It's one of those things where now I wish I was part of Twitter, because then I could, you know. Okay, what is going on here? I remember this. Oh boy, he's just, he wants to blame. He doesn't realize that he really is to blame for a lot of this. He just basically, I'll tell you what he said. Well, I'll show you. All right, you guys have seen this before. And I'm sorry to keep doing the Pablo thing, but. And then this lady. What? But Pablo, it's true. You were part of that. You were the one that did that. You were the one that she allowed to do whatever the fuck he wanted. All right? That's the problem. We talked about who's to blame for all this, and there are a lot of people to blame. We also talked about, yesterday's little Dave Filoni was the one behind, the sequel trilogy. And then you look at his IMDb page and it was like a voice or two for the Force Awakens. And yeah, he is. That's all he is. He's an IT guy. He's an IT guy that got involved with storytelling. You're right there, Mike. I mean, you know, and so whoever was behind the smear of Filoni, it's like I looked on his IMDb page. He had absolutely fucking nothing to do with writing the Last Jedi. He didn't at all. It's not anywhere. There's no evidence of him being part of that. But we all know that Carrie Hart and Pablo were deep involved with the Force, the Last Jedi. All right, and then Carrie Hart weirdly left Lucasfilm, and now she's working for Rian Johnson. Hey, Deborah, which is fascinating all in of itself. She's in Greece filming Knives Out 2. So I'm hoping they have enough black and trans and gay and non-binary people for her to be happy. Okay. I mean, what a fucking bitch. I have no problem with calling her that either. What else? That smear, and then you got him sitting there saying, I wasn't to blame. Anybody who worked for George Lucas as long as you did, Pablo, who knew what the score was, who didn't stand up and say, we can't do this, or Ryan, you can't use Luke this way. You have to remember Han Solo. You have to, anybody who said, who didn't say anything or applauded what they were doing is as much to blame as Kennedy, who let you do it. Okay, I agree with Tom. She had no fucks to care about Star Wars. She didn't care about Star Wars, but now she's crinkly feet on the ground in England, filming Indy. Well, that's where she got her start. Who cares? If you got it, look. If I was running Lucasfilm, none of this shit would have happened. It wouldn't have happened. Oh, the way they treated Mark. And I don't know if she would have said anything about the way they treated Han, but she might have. I mean, I have a feeling she read a lot of the books. I think she did. I think that she probably even read some fan fiction by the way she talked to some fans about certain things that went on in The Empire Strikes Back. I think that she probably would have written either a novel about all this, or she would have said something about the rampant political correctness and basically poor storytelling and why it doesn't belong in it. Last night, Doomcock had Cameron on again, and I just couldn't stay up. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to it when I have time. And they basically talked about what makes a good story. So I'm gonna put my 2 cents in since I wasn't on the panel. I wish I was. First off, the writer. Now this isn't a novel, but I know he loved it. Has to love it. You have to love it. You have to fucking love it. You have to have goddamn passion. All right? If you don't have passion for it, and you don't immerse yourself in the subject, roll in it like a horse rolling in dirt, and plow into it like a dog mowing through kibble, then you don't need to be there. If you're looking at it as a vehicle to sell a political opinion, then you don't belong writing Star Wars. You don't belong making a Star Wars movie. You don't belong anywhere near it. You should be working for a congressman or a political publication, all right? Or maybe you should be an activist with a 501c3. But you sure as fuck don't belong in Hollywood. Okay, that's first. You gotta have passion. You gotta love your subject. You gotta immerse yourself into it. You also have to understand the hero's journey if you're doing Star Wars. Okay. The hero's journey is ubiquitous on every human culture. Okay? It is ubiquitous. And it is a real life thing too. Okay? All right, I don't know if you guys, who all here remembers the TV show Baba Black Sheep with Robert Conrad? He played Pappy Boyington. Greg Boyington was a real person. Howdy, Matt Piranha. Greg Boyington was a Marine Corps pilot who flew F4U Corsairs. One of my I have a debate in my head which one I love better, the P-51 Mustang or the Corsair. So I go, yep, Pappy Boyington. He was a drunk. He was a bad husband, but he was a hero. Okay. Heroes are human, but that doesn't mean you take away their dignity. All right. You have to when you talk about Anakin had his own hero's journey, and he had to do what he did in order to achieve the end results of his hero's journey, which is bringing the end of the Sith and bringing the end of the chaos and the destruction that total dark side dominance would bring. Where's the balance? It's the light side of the Force. I mean, even when I think about that, Ryan Johnson couldn't be bothered to actually, well, wait a minute. Pablo helped write that fucking script. Okay, so when Ray says, the balance, it's like, no, there is no balance between light side and dark. The balance is the erasing, the easing out, the pushing away of the darkness. Okay, it is the bringing about of order. The darkness is disorder. Now it's funny when you think about all the evil people in the world that we've had to deal with. That dude from Germany, or Austria that ran Germany, Stalin, Mao, Castro, the Ayatollahs in Iran, and Osama bin Laden, the drug lords down in South America, corrupt politicians of our own. You think about them, and you think about the chaos their ambitions have, that their ambitions generate. People in poverty, people who are barely making it, people who are now protesting in Cuba, for crying out loud. Cuba Libre. You think about that. Now imagine a world where you had a representative, not a parliamentary, a representative republic where the government was there, but you didn't notice it every day of your life. Not in your taxes, not in the laws, whatever. What places? And there's bad stuff that's going to happen, but it's a rule of law based on law, not man. Everything that's based laws. We are a nation of laws, not man. When you are a nation of men, you have chaos. Human nature. This is exactly what the dark side is. Okay? Human nature. Well, and you're right. So, and we have people going through their hero's journey. I brought up Greg Boyington. I could bring up Joe Foss, who's another Marine Corps legend, Corsair pilot. I could bring up, any of those guys. My own father, okay? A hero goes home after the struggles, raises a family, has a decent job, has a house, lives a good life, and then, leaves the world a better place, ultimately. Instead, we got chaos and disorder and bullshit because they wanted, either to erase the original trilogy or do their own original trilogy, or they thought they could do better than George. I don't know what they thought they were doing. But they tried to generate their bullshit Frankfurt School crap into movies and these stories, and they're still doing it. The destruction and the deconstruction of the hero. We were talking about that when I was in college in the early 90s. I remember, the professor that taught literature and the history of literature and film, which I got an A in, by the way. And he knew my dad. My dad didn't graduate high school. All right, during the Depression, people were, you don't know what poor is till you are really poor, like my grandparents. And Dad had to quit school and go to work. My dad was better read than a college professor. He was more intelligent than that college professor. He was wiser than that college professor. And when I look at that, and I sat there in academia, I tell people, if you've got kids, because if we had kids, this is what I would do. I am not paying a goddamn dime for you to go to college. I'm not. I am not impressed with anybody with an MA or a PhD after their names. I'm not. I don't like being talked down to. I don't like people using these big words and pronouncing words in a certain way because they think they're smarter than everybody or have to put a goddamn show on. All right. That's not cool. Okay? It's not like I haven't thought about getting a master's, but if I did, I wouldn't change the way I talk, and I sure as hell wouldn't change the way I relate to people. It doesn't make me smarter than you are. Okay? In fact, the most educated people I know are the biggest goddamn idiots on the planet. Okay? That I know. And I know plenty of people with PhDs and MAs in my own family that, are can act pretty much semi-retarded sometimes. I mean, the only person I know, he's got 2 master's degrees. My husband is not only brilliant, he's wise. That's a hard combination to get. It's not like people like that fall off of trees all the time. Because normally, if you're an academic, all you've ever lived in is academia. You've never understood real life. And a lot of stuff they talk about is theory. Because they've never had to apply what they blah, 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 blah about into real life. Okay, so we've got that seeping into Star Wars. There's something about real life, all right, in this that we all recognize, which is why it was so, I think, important to so many people and important to so many, and important to the culture. Okay, if you write a film and you can't relate to normal, real people, you're not going to be successful. We all recognize the teenager who was impatient and wanted to leave. We all recognize the cynic. The selfish. We think that is a selfish dude who just wants to get paid and move on. We all recognize the idealist. We all recognize the older, wise man. Okay, because we all have those in our life. Okay, that's the reason why it speaks to us, and it's also, I think, ingrained in our DNA. So when you go against it, I think it's like grading. It's grading. It's like sandpaper on our psyche, which is what the sequel trilogy is. Okay, you can't go against what is ingrained in humanity's DNA. I mean, there's a reason why people recoil at deconstructing heroes that they've known. Superman. You can't deconstruct Superman. All right, it pisses people off. Batman. Okay, you can't deconstruct Han Solo without pissing people off, or Luke Skywalker. And the thing I love about Lucas's ideas is that you could be anybody from anywhere and be effective. You could actually be an agent of change. It doesn't matter if you're royalty and a princess, a farm boy, or a cynical, space cowboy pirate. If you have a good heart, and the thing I love about Lucas is that he is optimistic in his approach to the characters. That anybody can change their circumstances in life. And that is the one thing that the people who wrote the sequel trilogy, and this is another reason why it doesn't work, is that they don't think people change. I think they actually believe people are born the way they're going to be. But I also think that's a left wing idea. I don't know if there's anybody out there that wants to debate me on that. That's fine. I really think that is a left wing idea, and I believe it's Marxist. It's Marxist and even fascist in thinking, and it also even goes all the way back to authoritism. I can't speak this morning. I mean, my horse just put a great big sloppy mare kiss on my face when I saw her today. I'm like, but she's not gross like getting licked in the face by the dog after you don't know what he's been eating. I know what she eats, so it's not like I'm like dog germs, dog germs. But they don't think that people can change. They don't. They believe in class structure, that it doesn't change. That if you're proletariat, you're always going to be in the bottom. The bourgeoisie need to be destroyed. That's the middle class. That's us. And that the people on top, I forget what they're called. They're just going to be on top and leading everybody. These elites, and it's really interesting to me when you look at the way they write Han and Luke. Luke basically kind of reverts back to Luke of A New Hope. Very immature. I can't do anything. What am I supposed to do? You know, that kind of smarmy 20-year-old, 18-year-old kid. And, you know, I mean, if you think about it, but they don't believe people can change. The thing I love about what George was able to accomplish in telling the story is that everybody is able to change. All right, they're able to change their circumstances in life. They're able to change where they stand in life. You know, there's a heroic ideal that everybody can achieve if they're open to it. The moment Luke discovered that he was he was strong in the Force, he realized he could be a Jedi. He needed help with it, but he realized he could be a Jedi. You look at Han, and you know, I think of a guy who wanted to, you know, when you look at the origin story that Ann Crispin put out there, and he would tell Dulana, I'm going to be a fighter pilot. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to be a fighter pilot. This old Wookiee cook saved all of her money so she could get him away from Garrish Strike, and so he could go and do all that. He educated himself. That is something these people can't understand. That is something that is in American history. Andrew Jackson, Abraham Lincoln, educated himself. Okay. I mean, if you look at the history of George Patton, sure, he went to West Point, but he was dyslexic. So he had to actually get around the way people learned and learn in the way he could understand it. Think about that. Okay. Everybody, if there's an opportunity, if there's an opportunity to better yourself and to show your true stripes, if they're good, has that opportunity. Han has that opportunity the moment he meets Luke. All right. If you think about everything that happened to him between the time he left Shrike, Dulana being killed, to the moment he meets Obi-Wan and Luke, what made him cynical about relationships? Bria Theron walking away. Constantly being hounded by bounty hunters. You know, not being able to trust people because it's a kill or be killed thing. Living on the edge of the empire, literally. Okay. You know, seeing his dream and then having it pulled out from under him because there was something so morally reprehensible to him, he couldn't do it. And he wouldn't do it. And it changed his life. Again, he's reaching for a heroic ideal he didn't know was there. He might have lost his dream, but if you think about it, by the end of Return of the Jedi, he achieved it. He achieved it, okay? But he needed the opportunity, and the opportunity was Obi-Wan and Luke, and then saving Leia. And there you go. Okay, Leia, she already was a hero. She already was. She was the one that was carrying the plans to the Death Star. She was the one that had to go meet Obi-Wan. Okay. Her heroic ideal was, I think, probably to be some sort of figure to reach for in Han's life, in Luke's life. When you watch the end of A New Hope and they're all standing there and you see her up, she's up on a pedestal. Okay, think about that. She is there as a symbol. She's already heroic. She is there, and it's the perfect archetype for women. I mean, when you've got some feminazi saying, "Don't you dare put me on a pedestal," I'm like, put me on the pedestal. You know, I think every good woman should. If she takes care of her men, she should be on a pedestal. If she's there, if she's a decent person, does good things, she should have her own pedestal. All right. She should be a goal to be attained, and there's nothing wrong with that. And Leia's mission was to save Han in that whole thing, and to realize what, she was beyond this angelic murder in white as, a symbol for the rebellion. She was a symbol for a lot of different things, if you think about it. I mean, if you think about it, the people that wrote the ST can't figure it out. They couldn't figure it out because people don't. You're right, Troy. You're right. People like that, again, believe that class structure is solid, that it is not, you cannot move between lower classes, the working classes, and the upper echelons. You can't do that. I mean, let's say like you're a garbage man and you walk into a Sheets here. You get the Powerball ticket, and it's $500 million, and you win it. Pablo Hidalgo will never look at you as suddenly being someone who is upper class. He will never look at you as seeing someone who you got lucky, but you'll never be seen as anything but a working class dirtbag. And that's what they think. I mean, I've had left-wing women say the same thing about Han and Luke. Okay, why? Because they, first off, hate men. They hate men. They hate white men in particular. They look at black men as being people to look down at. Any man of color is somebody to be looked down at and preached to. And they also don't think that those men are good people. All right. They don't believe a guy that smuggled spice and probably arms for the rebellion and all the rest of this shit could be a good person. I mean, I'm Catholic, and it's like, well, who the fuck are you to judge? You don't know that guy. You don't know the background, okay? You don't know why. I mean, I'll give you an example. And Troy Pacelli will definitely, and maybe Mike will too, appreciate this. Michael Franzese, his father, hey Darius, his father was Sonny Franzese, who was the underboss of the Colombo family, New York crime family. Michael ended up being a capo regime and was a very successful mafia guy. Mafia, well, capo is kind of a boss of a crew, so a boss is very successful at it. In fact, the gas scam they did just makes me laugh because they were totally screwing the government out of taxes, and people buying gas from them were actually getting a break on the price. I was like, hey man, it works for me. I'm not really paying for it. I'm not paying for that. And he got caught. He got turned in. He went through a lot, spent time in prison, came out, and for his family, he quit. He walked away. And I mean, there were guys, I think Carmine, what? Persico wanted to kill him, wanted him, whatever. And, he has really, really changed his life. He is a Christian. He talks a lot about his faith, but he also uses the lessons he learned from that life to help other people. And it's very interesting to me, but that is a guy who has changed. I'll give you another thing. I know a Catholic, he's a priest. He's also a former gay man. Okay. They can't leave the lifestyle. They were born that way. Okay, fine. What if they just don't want to do it? What if they actually believe what if they actually believe what the Bible, what the magisterium says about that lifestyle? What if it actually was destructive to them? Okay, physically and emotionally. All right, they're not allowed to change. They're not allowed to make a decision to make their lives better. Do you know how I mean, I have other friends who've gone through similar things. Please don't tell me that people can't change. Because that person that they are becoming was always there. Okay? Just like when I think about Han and Luke, the heroes that they became were always there. They needed the opportunity. That's it. Everything in Star Wars in the prequels is an opportunity to change or to be the person you're supposed to be. Okay? All right, let's talk about Anakin. When Anakin discovers his mother, and hey Darius, and he discovers his mother, and she's in the Tusken Raiders camp, and they tortured her. They probably mutilated her. I look at the Tusken Raiders as kind of like being Comanches, which that's all I'm gonna say. All right, that's all I'm gonna say. I've talked a lot about the Native Americans, and they're less than ideal, the less than ideal things they used to do to prisoners. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's objectively looking at history. And he has a choice. He could carry her, sneak her out, her body out, and leave. Or he could embrace his rage and kill everybody in the camp, which is what he did. Okay. He had an opportunity to do the Jedi thing, and he didn't do it because he was so enraged and so hurt by what they did to his mother. He had to get revenge. And that is not the Jedi way. Okay. That was an opportunity for him that he missed. All right. And his speech to Padme about what happened was him basically confessing he did something bad. And he was angry about it. All right. But he still confessed it to her. Okay. That again is an opportunity. All right. An opportunity to say, I did a bad thing. And he didn't. Okay. But he confessed it, which is interesting to me. It's a very interesting little moment there. But these writers can't do that. They haven't been trained to understand what the hero's journey is. Because when they went to school, they were told, we have to deconstruct the heroes. We have to deconstruct the story because it's not good enough. Okay. And it's not critical theory that they're doing. We've got critical race theory, not critical theory, critical race theory seeping into Star Wars, seeping into everything. We've got this seeping into male-female relationships, and the like thereof in Star Wars, in the story group stuff, because how dare there actually be a straight relationship anywhere? I mean, but if you look at the writers, they've been taught CRT, they've been taught the Frankfurt School ideology, which is based on Marxist indoctrination. They've been taught the Saul Alinsky way of viewing your opponent. And I'll tell you something. I don't think I've seen anybody better at Saul Alinsky than Pablo Hidalgo. All right. If you know who Saul Alinsky is, he wrote a book. I can't remember what it was called. Maybe somebody can help me with it. But it's basically, no, it's called Rules for Radicals. It's basically rules to beat people like us. So when you see Jen Psaki and the rest of this scum attacking, normal people and calling them Nazis, General Milley, the chief of staff of the army, calling Trump voters Nazis. It's like, what the fuck is, no. And it's like, I don't get it. He was nominated by the President Trump, to be the chief of staff of the army. And he's doing this. This is the guy that's very happy embracing critical race theory in the military and trans women and men in the military. He could give a fuck about fighting a war. Okay. But that's what they do. They call you names. You get framed in a narrative, okay? They do everything to you that they say you're doing, if you're not even doing a goddamn thing. You could just be sitting there. And they're the ones doing the bullying. They're the ones smashing windows. They're the ones setting fire to cars. They're the ones invading federal office buildings. It's all your fault. You're the one who did it. That's all Alinsky tactics. And it's all Frankfurt School. Okay, that's where that was all learned. Okay, Frankfurt School of Thought goes into culture. What can we do to wreck Western culture? And they've invaded, and they don't even know. I honestly don't think Justina Ireland knows what the Frankfurt School is. Claudia Gray doesn't know. None of these people know what the Frankfurt School is, but they live it and learn it. They've learned it. They do it every goddamn day. What can we do to wreck this or change this piece of cultural heritage? Which Star Wars is. This isn't a statue, but it's every bit as important to Western culture. These are modern myths. People will be talking about Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Leia Organa, Anakin Skywalker, Padme Amidala, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Yoda for the next 1,000 years. Okay. They're important. Okay. They're every bit as important as Aeneas and the Iliad and the Odyssey and, the Aeneid and, Romulus and Remus. The Norse legends. They're every bit as important. King Arthur. Okay. It's every bit as important as that. Okay. And somewhere, someplace, some devious fucker knows that, and they don't like it. They don't want people to be inspired, young men to be inspired, young women to be inspired by Leia and the way she was written. And one of my favorite things to do is to look at a woman bitching about George Lucas not being able to write women and saying, he wrote Leia pretty well. He wrote Padme pretty well. Oh, I wouldn't. I'm so glad when Rudy retired that we're out, because I'd actually be having a shit fit. I would say most of the people in the military are probably voted for Trump. Okay. But here's the deal. When you're a general and you're a 4-star and you've got on the horizon sitting on the board of McDonnell Douglas, Boeing, Raytheon, you're not going to support someone who wants to pull out of all the wars. You know, these guys with stars on their shoulders are part of the military industrial complex. And they're every bit the Governor Tarkins, etc., that we've all come to know and despise. And, you know, for him to say that about people that didn't vote for fucking Biden, you know, but again, I also look at it and these guys looking at what went on in Afghanistan, what went on in Iraq, what went on in Syria, and they want to stay there. You know, I almost think sometimes they look at it as their legacy. You know, I'm sorry, but you're not Ike Eisenhower. You're not George Patton. You're not Chester Nimitz. You're not you're sure as fuck not George Washington. And you're not William Tecumseh Sherman. Sit the fuck down. Because you have to want to win. And you have to put your country before everything else. And they don't do it. And the guys who did do it are gone. They're not there anymore. All right, they're not there anymore. Or they won't get promoted. All right, they won't get promoted. And that's the thing that pisses me off the most. All right, and we see it every day, the lack of heroism in the upper echelon of the military. They won't stand up and say, you know, you politicians are wrong. Okay, we can't, this is unsustainable. We can't do this anymore. Look at the state of our goddamn Navy. Just look at it. That's all I'm going to say. Look at it. They don't give a fuck. They don't care. Okay? They become, they're parodies. They're absolute fucking parodies. And you can see so much of, when you look at, all right, the prequels, you can see so many parallels in the political issues going on in the prequels as you can in real life. Like the banking clan, the Moons, the Moonalist, you know, the Federal Reserve, okay? You look at the Trade Federation. I mean, there's a reason why they kind of sound like they're Asian. If you think about it, that's a direct parallel to real life. Okay? And everything, by the time you get to, I would say, the Phantom Menace, the Republic is very corrupt. And it's not necessarily a republic anymore. It is a hegemony of bankers, Trade Federation, and others. And what's interesting is when you peel back the story of Dooku, he's the one that said it. Okay? And he is the one that looked at the Jedi and saying, you're preserving corruption. I can't do this anymore. And it's interesting when you see here Anakin saying the same thing. He is reflecting and mirroring what Dooku often said. Okay, there's a reason why Dooku went to the dark side. But was he really a Darth? You know, I look at him more as, I mean, they call him Darth Tyrannus, but I kind of look at him as more of a dark Jedi, because he really, hey, Mazers, he really wasn't that evil. He really wasn't necessarily a bad man. He was a fallen Jedi master who just got sick and tired of the corruption. And that corruption is reflected in what we're seeing today. I mean, we've got people in Hollywood and elsewhere in our corporate society who are willing to do anything for Chinese dollars. All right, think about it. That's corrupt. That is very corrupt. Okay. They don't care. They don't care. Okay, they want the money. And you can't have order with all that corruption going on. because they don't want to take care of the problems. And the thing about people like our politicians, and same thing in Star Wars, if they solve a problem, then they have nothing to bitch about. The problem is solved. There's no reason for them to be there. You know, they don't have any idea how to husband something along. Okay, you know, and it's very interesting how Lucas. God, is that dog hair? Lucas kind of saw that coming, and understood it, and that was back in the late 1990s, early 2000s. But it's timeless, but it's a direct comment on what is going on, and both parties are equally to blame. Okay, we give too much power to bureaucrats. We've taken power away from people to make their own decisions. You know, you're right, Matt Piranha. We've done all this stuff, and where's the payoff? There is no payoff. Okay, and that directly affected in Star Wars Anakin's hero's journey, because Anakin saw, even at his very young age, the problems within the Jedi Order, because the Jedi had become complacent. They become part of the machine, and they weren't supposed to be part of it. Okay? And it was very easy for Palpatine to manipulate young Anakin to do all the shitty things he did. Okay? Because oh yeah, and you're right, Mazarus. And they could, here's the deal about China. They can walk into the Hong Kong park or Shanghai and take it back anytime they want. And Bob Chapek knows that. He knows that. I do believe that story that went before the election, that he asked DOJ, how do we handle disengaging from China? Okay. China takes 75% of the box office. So even if you make $200 million in China, you're only getting about 50 million. You know, that's not anything. I mean, the idea that Hollywood even cares about what the Chinese think is just hysterical. It really is. But we were talking about the hero's journey and how it's been undermined by the story group. I really find it fascinating that Pablo is putting out that GoFundMe for J.W. Rinzler. When I find it again, I'm gonna put it on the community page here, so people can contribute, and I'll send it to Andre, and Tom, and Eddie, and or Coach and Nick. Okay, and they'll get it out. They'll get it out. We need to help this guy. I mean, I have all the books here. I mean, you know, I mean, these are so beautiful. I mean, these are just absolutely beautiful. I mean, when you look at all this, I mean, and this is a labor of love. I mean, you know, it was a labor of love and following the vision of George Lucas in both Indy and the Star Wars stuff. I mean, you know, I mean, I just absolutely love these. and we gotta come together and help. Okay, so anyway, I've been on for an hour, and in about 40, in about I would say 45 minutes, midnight side you'll be on, and they're gonna be talking about the horrendous drop for Black Widow, and I honestly, it's a very interesting thing because the theater owners are blaming streaming for that. And Space Jam 2, whatever the fuck that's called, that's been actually doing pretty well, which is stunning to me. But then people hate it, so I don't get it. I really don't. Anyway, this is Steph. I'll see you guys later. See you around the galaxy.